The riding of Brampton East is a mix of residential and industrial, as well as many small businesses. It's home to 100,000 people. 64,000 of them are eligible voters. It encompasses part of the old riding of Bramalea-Gore-Malton and Brampton-Springdale. Just over a third of the population is from South Asia, making this one of the largest such populations outside of India, second only to Surrey, BC. 33% of residents are Sikh, 22% are Hindu, and 8% are Muslim.
How are you? Hello, how are you?
Hey guys, signs.
Who's flyered, done lit drops? And who's done main streeting? Okay, perfect. So we're going to make sure we get all you guys out, knocking doors, because that's the most important thing.
With no incumbent, some say the race here is wide open. The candidates from the three main federal parties are each of South Asian descent, a reflection of a very diverse riding where 60% of residents are immigrants.
I think that's the beauty of Canadian democracy, is that, you can have a similar background, but have a different political ideology. And I think that's what goes to, the Canadian dream, right? Like, I always say that I'm a son of a taxi cab driver and a factory worker, but I got to go to some of the best schools in this country. And I'm not a liberal because my parents were liberals. I truly believe in the liberal ideology.
I know immigration is a big issue in this riding. We talk about wait times to get family here, family reunification.
Yeah.
How would you address that if you were elected? And what are your thoughts on the current immigration policy?
I think the current immigration policy is a complete disaster, and I've been hearing this for 6 months at the door as we've been going door to door. 3 things to point out. One is the citizenship file. They increased the citizenship fee from $100 to $500, right? So a drastic increase, and they didn't even give a reason why. So people, new immigrants, basically feel that the Harper government doesn't trust them. Then family unification. You go door to door, and people say, our files have been in the same spot for the last 5 to 6 years. Unacceptable. A couple of years ago, they brought in this super visa, right? Huge announcements, right? Oh, this is going to alleviate all the backlog. Okay, first and foremost, they don't give the super visa. The rejection rate is very, very high.
Last year I tried actually, and that word got rejected, and the reason was insufficient funds, and the second reason was their passport. My parents' passport were new. So it's not it's not the case with me only. It's been with I have friends, and they're also saying the same thing. So it's been 2.5 years we are here, and I tried last year for my parents. Again, I'm gonna try next year maybe.
What are your concerns about the current immigration policies?
I think it will take longer time. Like if you sponsor your parents, like they have changed the rule now. They have currently issued the which one, the visa? Visitor visa instead of immigration, because if the parents are coming through immigration, then they have to give the pension plans and the medical facility. So I think it will take a longer time.
How does that make you feel? How much of a hardship is that for a family?
It's very hard. Sometimes you even don't get the visa. If you sponsor somebody even on a visitor visa, they can refuse it. They're refusing. So it's very hard.
Imi Sikand is principal lawyer with Sikand Immigration Law.
The family reunification stream used to be a priority stream, meaning it was the stream that was given sort of the first look at processing by all the visa offices. We were looking at processing times of 6 months, less than a year, in most cases for spouses. Now we're looking at 2 or 3 years for these types of applications.
One thing is that it's a more hype been created, but when I go on door, people are very appreciative, because if you see the track record, 400 more thousand immigrants came in the last 10 years of the Conservative government compared to the 10 years of the previous Liberal government. When we see about the backlog, when we speak about the parents and the grandparents, the Liberals left us with a huge backlog, and that the Conservative government stepped up to not only clear up the backlog, but at the same time to just smoothen up the process.
So ਤੁਹਾਡਾ time ਦੇਣ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ thank you.
NDP candidate Harbaljit Singh Kalon greets seniors at a community event at Gore Meadows Community Center. He says the immigration delays create a lot of hardship.
The current system is broken. There's actually no focus on reuniting families and making sure that families' lives aren't put on hold. Conservatives like to throw around numbers, numbers which include like student visas, they include provincial nominee programs. So it's not about a numbers game. It's about people's lives and making sure that people's lives aren't put on hold. And my focus will be to ensure that we reunite families so that we aren't putting people's lives on hold. In the South Asian community, a lot of times seniors act as the caregivers. They act as the babysitters. They act as a bridge between different family members. So it's a very important issue, and it's becoming more and more pressing and dire by the day.
Today, I'm hoping to collect some more signatures to get myself on the ballot. I've got here some sheets here that we're going to be going on. Are you all familiar with how to fill these out? I know that you should be, and you should be. You can fill it. You know how to do it.
Also hoping to win votes is Green Party candidate Kyle Lacroix. But first, he has to get his name on the ballot. At the time of our interview, the 23-year-old college graduate had more than half of the 100 signatures required to get his name on the ballot and file his nomination papers. Bit of an uphill battle for you. Your competitors or your rivals, more experience. They're in the business world, a lot of political connections. How do you compete with that? Are you a little intimidated?
I think there's an element of fear to almost everything we do when we're looking at fighting against the norm, when we're looking at changing up how things work. And I think that is just something that people got to accept. Knowing that I'm very young, it's going to be hard going against people who are seasoned. But I think a very important thing, especially for young Canadians, is to see people like myself getting involved and going out there and making the effort, taking the time out of my own day to go out and connect and show that, you know what, it doesn't just require people with tremendous experience and connections. You know what, you got to start somewhere, and this is where I'm starting. At this stage I'm at, I'm not asking for you to, vote for me or sponsor me or anything. I just want to get my name on the ballot so I can contribute in the political spectrum here. And so before I can do that, Elections Canada requires that I get 100 signatures. So if it's no pressure if you don't want to, it's okay, but we're not going to keep your information. We're not going to hold anything against you. It's literally just saying that you recognize me as an individual who'll be running for the Green Party.
Can I see what is
Yeah, absolutely.
Neighbors in the area decided to get together at a private home to support the Liberal candidate and introduce him to community members. Many in attendance were seniors, one of the fastest growing demographics in the riding. What are some of the issues that seniors want to be addressed?
Well, first and foremost, the age has been increased from 65 to 67 for the retirement age. So we've already said, Justin Trudeau's already said that we're going to reduce it back to 65. So people are really happy about that. But again, it's the same concerns that you would imagine, which is, they want their pensions to reflect the cost of living increases. Expenses keep rising, but their pensions don't rise. And, better planning to ensure that all seniors have an adequate pension to retire on. And with that, healthcare costs.
While not strictly a federal issue, infrastructure like the proposed Goreway Bridge over the CN Rail level crossing along the Mississauga-Brampton border requires cooperation from all levels of government. However, the delays have local residents fed up, something the candidates are cognizant of. What happened with this bridge, and how would you deal with these infrastructure concerns? Because I know that's a big deal.
Yeah, so that bridge, it's on Goreway, as the border of Mississauga and Brampton. It's a CN rail that comes pretty regularly there. My wife and I, we also get stuck in that, and once you get stuck, you miss that train, and your whole day's thrown off. So that, from my understanding, it required work between different levels of government. So Brampton had to put in their share, Mississauga had to put in their share. There's something that the feds and provincial government was also supposed to pitch in. And it was one of those cases where, because it's on the border and it involves so many jurisdictions, that it's just one of those things that never got done. plan?
A lot of commuters in Brampton East, so a lot of congestion. And like I mentioned before, the area is growing, so the congestion is just going to get worse. Construction is slowing things down right now. So, like I said about the $125 billion infrastructure plan, I really want to make sure Brampton East gets its fair share. And we spoke about, commuters going downtown. It takes an hour and a half to get to downtown, whether you take the GO train or whether you drive, and another hour and a half on the way back. That's 3 hours away from your families. It's unacceptable. And just like the simple things like that Goreway Bridge, to ensure that your life's a little bit easier. It just came up in the meeting, funny enough. And he's like, listen, I'm going to the Keele subway station now because that Goreway Bridge has caused me, that Goreway CN trail has caused me to miss my GO train so many times, right? So he's taking the subway now, the TTC. And Brampton East needs a better method to get to downtown. And the infrastructure plan is going to help alleviate some of that.
Speaking about the infrastructure.
Yeah, I know it's a big deal here.
No, it's a big deal because one of the things which we need to see is that, it starts from infrastructure when it comes to, starts from the planning from the side of the city. But as a member of parliament, one thing for sure I'm looking forward is how I can be a bridge. How can I can be, helping that the planning from the city, and then when it comes to the federal funding, that how can we bring more and more funding for the, let's take an example of the transit system. More and more comes into the connectivity between the cities.
What's that? I'm going to go. I got to go. Did you get that list ready?
Tell us what some of the issues are when you're going door to door and campaigning and talking to people.
And then when it comes to federal issues, I would say jobs and economy by far is number one. Number two is immigration. The way Canada's become less welcoming, people are fed up with that. And third would be the infrastructure, the congestion, the lack of support for city projects. People are seeing that in their daily grind. So when they say, oh, there's so much traffic, or they say, oh, there's no community centers here, or they say, oh, our parks need this and that, it speaks to the levels of bureaucracy that have been created over years and how things aren't getting done at a local level. So those I would say are the top three issues.
Looking for your,
Which one now?
but still looking for your support. One of the things which we, for the Conservative, the most important is for the families, safe community, always supporting the seniors. We work a lot on the economy and the job growth. So we are all for the families. Okay, looking for your support.
Sure.
How are you?
Always with you.
You want to come and help me on my team?
Yes.
As a volunteer?
Yes.
There are a lot of youth with me.
A successful entrepreneur, business consultant, and longtime community leader, Conservative candidate Naval Bajaj is former president of the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce and was the youngest person ever elected to that role.
We, came out with the mentorship program, some of the youth forums. Then when it comes to the women, under my leadership, we started the Women Entrepreneurs and Professional Committee. So we were joined by, in the first year itself, we had more than a couple of hundred members who joined the WEP, which we say. When I speak about the infrastructure, under my leadership, we were able to acquire a permanent office space, more than 6,000 square feet building space for the Chamber of Commerce. And when it comes to the economy, I led the largest trade missions.
With Stephen Harper,
I was the part of the Stephen Harper, the Honorable Prime Minister's delegation. We were able to promote our small and medium enterprises. We are able to promote, like City of Brampton, City of Markham. We are able to promote them that what they have to offer. So it was a two-way street where we are promoting the small and medium enterprises out there. At the same time, we were trying to, seek the investment.
I'm running Brampton East for borders with Malton.
You're running for Malton, all that area?
Just outside Malton. Yeah, so the riding used to be Bramley-Gore Malton,
right.
But now it's Brampton East.
To different
new ridings,
right?
yeah.
4 or 5, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of new ones.
You are a successful business strategist. I'm wondering, what is it that drew you to politics and why the New Democrats?
So I've always had a natural involvement in the community, helping build things, helping serve, doing various different projects, institution building. That's always been my passion, and especially in this area, I've been quite active. I mean, I could easily say for 20 years since I was a kid. So having a passion to get involved in the community, and after I did my MBA, after I worked on Bay Street for 8 years, this was kind of the natural next step forward. And why the Democrats is because the way Canada is heading, I think it's the completely wrong direction. And it's not the Canada that I grew up. It's not the Canada that I want my kids to grow up in.
So who's your main competitor and why?
I think I never take my competition lightly. I'm focused on the people of Brampton East and earning the vote one house at a time and one vote at a time. I've been door knocking for almost a year now, and the response has been amazing. 2 years ago, when I started the nomination process, I had a lot of neighborhood meetings, and I continue to have those. And the competition can focus on me as much as they want, but I keep on focusing on the residents and the constituents of Brampton East. That's why I'm running, and that's what I hope to achieve when I'm their member of parliament.
We've touched on immigration. You talked about foreign credentials. I know there's a huge Indian population in Brampton. We have Hindu, we have Muslim, we have Sikh, we have people from all different areas. What about other cultural communities? What are you hearing from them? Are there issues being heard? Because you have a lot of people here who are not immigrants.
See, I hear the issues which we speak about. One thing is that most of them are very happy way we have steered through the tough times in the economy. And with that tough times also, way we were able to put more dollars back to the families, the more dollars we were able to put back to the seniors. So they are very appreciative. At the same time, we need to keep on. This work needs to go on. The other concern is about from the other communities about some of the policies which are on the drugs, like people not in favor of legalizing marijuana. People are not in favor of opening up the drug injection sites because that's something which people want to keep the youth away from it. So that's one thing which I hear very strongly, a common voice from the communities.
Tell us about this food bank and why it was important for you to be here.
Yeah, so the Seva Food Bank was started 5 years ago. Today we're celebrating the 5th anniversary, and we're doing it with a prayer, a classic Sikh prayer called the Kirtan. And Seva Food Bank operates in 2 of the most in-need areas in PL. We don't think that hunger is as important here as it is elsewhere, but it's actually very important. And the other thing at Seva Food Bank that we're always focused on is not only how do we give people food, but the focus here was always on how do we give culturally appropriate food.
About 33% of residents in Brampton East are of Sikh background. And there are many other cultures in the riding. So what are some issues that are important to, I know it's important to everyone, but what are some issues, and let us know that you're reaching out to other communities as well.
Right.
So we're talking a lot about the South Asian community and things serving them, but what about other voters in the riding?
Right. So I mean, Sikh issues are Canadian issues, and Tamil issues are Canadian issues. So I mean, at the doors, the issues aren't really split up in terms of ethnicity. The issues of job security, jobs, economy, those are across the board, right? And then what happens is sometimes in some communities there's more emphasis on certain things. So for example, with immigrant communities, there's naturally going to be more focus on immigration in addition to other issues. And then there's other issues in terms of settlement services, foreign credential recognition, refugee support.
A 20-minute drive from Brampton East, Pearson International Airport plays an important role. So does the taxi industry. Both are employers to many people in the riding, And for Liberal candidate Rajvinder Grewal, issues faced by cabbies hit close to home. His father has since retired from the taxi industry.
I think they're really upset about Uber and the fact that Uber is getting a free pass without the regulation. And they're really looking for somebody that can address their concerns. Taxi drivers are near and dear to my heart because the taxi industry has given food on my family's table for the last 35, 40 years. And not just my family, my cousins, my uncles, my aunts, like they all drive. And the taxi industry and the trucking industry, it's really important to ensure that there's even-keeled regulation. Uber needs to be regulated to ensure that all cabbies that work really, really hard have their fair share.
They've faced other issues other than Uber. What does it mean, if you were in office, how could you help them or deal with their concerns?
So the Airport Taxi Association is a perfect example. They fall under federal regulation under the GTAA to ensure that they have the exact same requirements that the existing taxi drivers have. People aren't greedy, but they do want fairness. And the Harper government hasn't been able to deliver that on immigration or the economy or when it comes to simple issues like taxi and Uber, right? Why hasn't there been any level of government to step in and regulate this industry? And a voice from me, I will never forget what the taxi industry has done for my family, so I will be a strong voice for fairness in that industry.
I will like to request all the viewers, look at the track record. Look what the conservative government has done. Look at the track record of, liberals. Look at the track record of wherever there were NDP governments. NDP governments, wherever they had, was not good for the economy. NDP is not good for economy. Malkir is putting the plan which is going to result into $8 billion deficit every year, $34.5 billion deficit overall in his term. We are listening to Trudeau, who says budget balance of his own, is now coming out with a $3 billion deficit. At the same time, we have the proven leadership. We're poised for a balanced budget. We had a surplus in the month of April, May.
Significantly, this riding is held provincially by New Democrat Jagmeet Singh, a close ally of federal NDP candidate Harb Kalon, who was in fact Jagmeet's campaign manager during the last provincial election. A recent rally attended by federal NDP leader Thomas Mulcair, along with hundreds of supporters, went a long way to fuel that buzz for Kalon's campaign.
Tom did, a cross-Canada tour, and the rally in Brampton was amongst the largest. I had about 1,200 people before the writ. The room was electrifying. It was amazing. I had the honor of introducing Tom. Jagmeet was there as well. Martin Singh, Adoma Patterson, all of our local candidates, Diane Douglas, Rosemary Keenan, and people are really excited because the thing has been is that there's this perpetual between liberal conservative, and now people see an actual third legitimate option.
Also showing support for their respective candidate in Brampton East, Liberal leader Justin Trudeau recently dropped by the riding, while Prime Minister Stephen Harper joined Conservative supporters at a rally in August. I know provincially, Brampton East is represented by the New Democrats. Do you think that gives you the upper hand?
Definitely. I think the thing I'm hearing at the doors is people are quite happy with the representation and the voice that Jagmeet Singh and the NDP has provided provincially. There's no doubt about that. Whether it's the Liberals' failed policies on auto insurance, which is amongst the highest, whether it's the issue of the Brampton Hospital, or it's any other provincial issue, Jagmeet Singh has been at the forefront and the most vocal. So people recognize that, they appreciate that, and they have the same expectations from myself and having a similar voice in Ottawa.
There's that provincial connection for the New Democrats. How do you compete?
Well, I think federal and provincial politics are totally different. It's day and night. We're running for federal member of parliament, and the people of Brampton East really understand that. They're tired of 10 years of the Harper decade. They're looking for change. They love Justin Trudeau. Justin was in our riding just 2 weeks ago. We had almost 1,600 to 1,700 people there, standing room only. The crowd was electric.
While their views on the issues may differ, one thing all the candidates can agree on is they'll make it a priority to continue to be accessible to members of the community.
Once I get elected, I will have the same cell phone number. The open door policy is never going to change. I choose to be in public life. And one thing which I've been clear, that once you're in public life, you have to be accessible. I enjoy what I'm doing. That's the reason I'm doing it. I enjoy meeting people. I love interacting with people. I love working with people. That's what I have done my whole life. And I like to keep on doing this.
With your supporters behind you, following you at every door.
You know, there is no campaign. There is no campaign, or there is your strength is your support. Your strength is people. In public life, you are nothing without people.
I'm so fortunate and so blessed to have the opportunity to give back to a community that gave me so much. Canada is the only country where my family's story is even remotely possible. The son of a taxi cab driver and a factory worker, got to go to some of the best schools in the country, and now is an opportunity to run for Member of Parliament. Whether I win or I lose is not the story. The story is 35 years after my father came here, his son gets a chance to sit in the House of Commons. And I think that's what the Canadian dream is all about.
For CPAC, I'm Heather Seaman.